Oil prices continued higher, pushing north of 120 this week. Actually, twice this week. We did it earlier this week and again today on Friday. We saw the highest settle this week, up above close to 1900, highest settle since March. Recall back in March, we got as high as 130.50 in oil prices before seeing a slide lower. The range this week, 111, mid 111s up to the mid 120s. Wider range and about $3 higher than where we were last Friday at this time. It's hard to believe that the last time we didn't see a week with 100 in the price range. You have to go all the way back to February of this year. Prior to that, the low of the year came on the first trading day of the year on January 3rd. That was just below $75. But again, we saw oil prices higher this week, about $3, and again, threatening to push above that 120 level. Now, what does this all mean for volatility? Well, if you check out that CVOL index over at cmegroup.com, you'll notice that since March and that 130.50 high we put in, we've seen volatility slowly trending lower. This week we saw it kind of flatten out a little bit. Volatility actually started to move a nudge higher as we got close to that 120 level and stayed there. So we're off the extreme prices, but we are starting to see a push higher to levels that we haven't seen a whole lot of trade at, and that's what's causing volatility to move higher. That, along with rising geopolitical risks and all the other economic risks that we're seeing globally right now in front of us. Lastly, let's talk about that OPEC Plus meeting and what did they do and how did they affect oil prices? Well, OPEC Plus talked about increasing their production, and an increase in production would typically mean more supply, which would typically historically mean lower prices, but we didn't see that. A lot of what we're seeing now out of OPEC Plus, they are going to raise production levels in July and August. However, the fact that they are allowed to raise production levels doesn't mean they have the capacity to do so, and many of the OPEC Plus members, don't have the capacity to increase at the levels that they want to. So right now, supply levels, while they will go up, maybe not as much as expected, while we're seeing demand continue to go up, and that's also helping to drive prices higher. So oil, another big week higher, getting up north of 120 briefly, settling at the highest since March.